When my husband got sick, I took off work to care for him. His mother called every day saying, if you knew how to cook properly, he'd be fine. Then she showed up uninvited and said, you're killing my son. My husband whispered, just ignore her. I didn't. I called security, had her escorted out, and sent her an itemized invoice for every day I stayed home. I've been married to Joel for 6 years. We live in Columbia, Missouri. Nothing fancy, small house, a dog, decent jobs. I work as a project coordinator in construction. Joel works with HVAC systems. Our life's been stable, normal. No kids yet, though we talked about trying soon. Joel is the kind of man who doesn't ask for much. He works hard, doesn't complain, does his part at home. That's probably why what happened hit me so hard. Seeing him helpless, it shook me. But it wasn't just the sickness that got to me. It was his mother. Her name is Ruth. And Ruth thinks I'm a useless, lazy wife who stole her baby boy. She's always been a bit much, but when Joel got sick, she turned into something else. A whole new kind of nasty. It started early January. Joel came home sniffling. Said he felt cold. The next morning, he couldn't get out of bed. Fever. Sweats. Coughing nonstop. We went to urgent care, then his doctor. They said it was a viral infection, could take weeks to fully clear up. I didn't think twice. I called my boss and told him I needed time off. At first I used my paid time, then unpaid leave when that ran out. I knew Joel wouldn't be able to manage on his own. He couldn't even walk to the bathroom without help. Every day I cooked meals from scratch. I cleaned the house, changed the sheets constantly, tracked his meds, monitored his temperature every few hours, and made sure he stayed hydrated. I didn't sleep much, just dozed in a chair beside him, waking up every time he coughed too hard or winced in pain. Ruth started calling on day 3. I had barely closed my eyes when my phone rang at 7:04 a.m. If you knew how to cook real food, he wouldn't be this sick, she said. What? I'm just saying. You need to feed him properly. No frozen crap. No boxed food. That stuff ruins your body. I held back a scream. I told her I was making soup, keeping him warm, giving him medicine. Did you make the broth from scratch? She asked. Or did you just pour out of a can? I said nothing. Unbelievable, she muttered. You think you're helping him? You're not. You're making it worse. Then she hung up. That became the pattern. Morning calls. Sometimes evening ones too. All of them filled with judgment. You're not cleaning the house well enough. Viruses spread on surfaces. Don't you know how to keep a man healthy? You're too young to understand. He needs someone mature taking care of him. I told Joel about the calls. He winced, said, just ignore her. She'll calm down. But she didn't. She showed up. No warning, no call. Just banged on our front door one Friday morning while I was spoon-feeding Joel oatmeal. I opened the door in pajamas. Hair messy. Eyes tired. And there she stood with her arms crossed and a smug look on her face. Where is he? She said, stepping inside like she owned the place. Ruth, I'm taking care of it. Taking care of it? He looks like a ghost. What have you been feeding him? She stormed into the guest bedroom where Joel was resting. He opened his eyes slowly, tried to smile. My baby, she whispered, bending over him. Look what she's done to you. He tried to talk. Mom, stop, she turned to me and said it. You're killing my son. The words hit me like a slap. And before I could respond, Joel whispered, just ignore her. No, not this time. I walked into the kitchen and picked up my phone. I called the security desk at our neighborhood's HOA. There's an unwanted person in my home, I said. She won't leave. I need someone to remove her. They were there in under 10 minutes. Ruth yelled, cried, begged. I'm his mother. You can't kick me out of my son's house. But I didn't flinch. Not even when she called me names. Not even when Joel looked up at me and whispered, Are you sure? Yes, I said. She's not helping. She's hurting. They walked her out. She kept turning back, shouting things like, You'll regret this, and you don't deserve him. I stood in the doorway and watched the car pull away. Then I went back inside, closed the blinds, and sat down at my desk. I opened Excel and made a list. Every single day I stayed home. Every paycheck I missed. Every prescription I bought. Every grocery receipt. Every meal cooked. Every bottle of Gatorade. Every box of tissues. Every hour spent rubbing his back and helping him to the bathroom. I added it all up. It came to just under $5,300. I printed it out and mailed it to her, with a note that said, "If you're going to accuse me of killing your son, you can at least help pay for what it costs to keep him alive." After I mailed that invoice to Ruth, I thought I'd feel some kind of peace. But I didn't. Not right away. She didn't call, didn't text, didn't even send back one of her nasty voicemails. I waited, half expecting her to show up again, maybe with a lawyer or one of Joel's cousins as backup. But all I got was silence. 3 days later, Joel was finally strong enough to sit up for a few hours at a time. He was pale, thinner, but eating again. I helped him shower. We sat on the couch watching TV like nothing had happened. I tried to pretend like things were okay, but they weren't. Joel hadn't said much about what happened with his mom. I gave him space, but the tension between us grew thicker every day. One night, while I was making tea, he finally spoke. "You didn't really have to send her a bill." I stopped stirring. "Excuse me?" He looked tired. He wasn't meeting my eyes. "She's difficult, I know, but she's still my mom. And I'm your wife." I snapped, louder than I meant to. He flinched a little. "I gave up my job to take care of you, Joel. I wiped your face when you couldn't stop throwing up. I barely slept for 2 weeks. And all she did was accuse me of poisoning you." He rubbed his face and whispered, "She didn't mean it. She meant every word. She's hated me from day one, and you've always let her." That shut him up. I left the tea on the stove and went to bed without him. I could hear him cough a little around midnight, but I didn't get up. The next morning, there was an envelope on the kitchen counter. Handwritten. From Ruth. She had mailed a check. For $2,650. Half the amount. There was a note with it. "Since you think caring for my son is a job, here's your paycheck. Guess that makes you a nurse, not a wife." I stared at it for a long time. My hands were shaking. Not from anger. From something worse, hurt. Deep, raw hurt. Joel walked in and saw the check. "She actually paid," he said like it was a joke. I said nothing. Just handed him the note. He read it and sighed. "She didn't mean that either." "You keep saying that," I said. "But she keeps meaning it." He looked at me differently then, like he was finally seeing just how deep the damage went. But instead of comforting me, he said the worst thing he could have said. "I think you should apologize to her." My stomach dropped. "What?" "She's not well either. She's been dealing with a lot. She just lost her sister. She was scared. You were both emotional." I couldn't believe it. "So your mom storms into our house, tells me I'm killing you, gets escorted out by security, sends a passive-aggressive check, and I'm the one who needs to say sorry? She's my family." I stared at him. "So what am I?" He didn't answer. I packed a bag and left that afternoon. Not forever. I told him I was staying with my friend Janelle for a few days to think. He said, "Okay," and that was it. No fight. No chase. Just okay. At Janelle's, I cried for the first time since all this started. I didn't even realize how heavy it all was until I had distance. The sickness, the unpaid bills, the way Ruth made me feel like trash, and Joel letting her. Then Janelle told me something I didn't expect. She called me Ruth. She found me on Facebook. I froze. She wanted to know if you were telling the truth. About taking time off. About the money. And I told her everything. I told her how hard you worked. How scared you were. You know what she said? What? She said, "She's manipulating Joel." I can tell. That's when I knew this wasn't over. Ruth was starting something behind my back. And Joel? He was letting it happen. I stayed at Janelle's for 3 days. I didn't call Joel, and he didn't call me. Not once. On the 4th day, I drove back to the house. I needed clothes. I needed to see if he even cared. When I walked in, the house was quiet, too quiet. Joel wasn't there. Benny, our dog, ran up to me wagging his tail, but something was off. The kitchen trash was full, dishes piled in the sink. Joel hadn't done a damn thing while I was gone. But what really got me was what I found in the bedroom. The check. The same one Ruth had sent me. Half the amount I'd invoiced her was sitting on Joel's nightstand. It had been endorsed, and attached to it the note. Talk to Mom. She wants to help out more. Let's just move on. No apology. No ownership. Just move on. I stood there staring at it for a long time. My hands were shaking again. This time from pure rage. I opened Joel's laptop. It was still logged in. I went to his email. I know I shouldn't have, but I had to see it for myself. And what I saw hit me like a punch to the gut. He'd been emailing Ruth. Daily. While I was gone. Not just that, but about me. She's being stubborn. I don't know how to talk to her right now. Maybe you're right. Maybe she does care more about being right than about me. I think she's blowing this out of proportion. And then the worst one. You've always had better instincts than her when it comes to taking care of people. I slammed the laptop shut and sat on the edge of the bed, trying not to scream. He wasn't just defending her. He was siding with her. He let her insult me. Then he let her pay me like I was a hired caregiver. And now he was turning me into the villain in emails behind my back? That night, when Joel came home, I didn't even say hello. I handed him a folder with printed screenshots of every email he sent to Ruth. Every word. Highlighted. He looked down at them, then back up at me. You went through my email? I laughed. Loud. Bitter. That's what you care about. She's my mom. And I'm your damn wife. Joel looked like he was about to say something, but I held up my hand. No. I don't want to hear another excuse. I gave up my job for you. I let her insult me. I stood by you when you couldn't even stand. And the whole time you were playing both sides like I was some problem to be managed. He sat down on the couch, silent. I wasn't done. She called my friend Joel. She tried to turn Janelle against me. What else has she done that I don't know about? Has she been in touch with your exes too? Putting together a whole case against me. He didn't answer. Just sat there rubbing his temples like he was the victim here. That's when I told him. I'm not staying here tonight. I'm not sure I'm ever coming back. He didn't fight me. He just asked, what about Benny? I looked him dead in the eye. You and your mother can figure that out together. And I walked out. I went back to Janelle's and started making a new plan. Not just for separation, but something bigger. Because if Ruth wanted to treat this like a business transaction, if she thought I was just a hired caretaker, then she was about to find out what happens when the employee decides to play hardball. I stayed at Janelle's for another week. I didn't tell Joel what I was planning. I didn't have to. He'd made his choice clear, and so had I. I used that time to talk to a lawyer. A good one. I still had the emails Joel sent to Ruth. I had receipts, bank statements, my work leave papers, everything. The lawyer said something that lit a fire in me. You've got documentation of emotional abuse, financial loss, and third-party interference. If you want a divorce, you could go after spousal support and damages. I hadn't even been thinking about divorce when all this started. I thought I was protecting my husband. But now, I felt like I was protecting myself from him. I also had another idea. One that wasn't about lawyers or courtrooms. See, Ruth had written that check from her personal bank account. And I knew from past Christmases that she was the kind of person who loved her reputation. Local charities, garden clubs, church groups, she was always bragging about how respected she was in Jefferson City. So I sent her an email. Ruth, thank you for the payment. Since you've now financially compensated me for my caregiving, I've logged the income accordingly and reported it to the state for tax purposes under household employment. Per IRS guidelines, you'll need to fill out a Schedule H and issue me a W-2 for the $2,650. If you need help understanding the process, I've attached links from the IRS website. See, I never heard her scream, but I imagine she did. 2 days later, Joel showed up at Janelle's without warning. He looked worn out, like he hadn't slept much. I just wanted to talk, he said. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed.
She's losing it, he said.
She's freaking out about tax fraud. I said nothing. She said you're trying to ruin her. I'm just following the law, I said calmly. Like she wanted me to.
It's a job, right?
That's what she paid me for.
He stared at me.
Then finally he said it. I made a mistake. That almost got me. Almost. Which one?
I asked.
Letting her talk to me like that? Lying to me? Taking her side? Or cashing the check and letting her slap me in the face with it? I didn't mean to. You meant everything you did, I said. You meant to protect her feelings instead of mine. You meant to keep the peace by making me the villain. Joel looked down. What do you want from me? I took a deep breath. I want you to sign the divorce papers when they come. His mouth opened, then shut again. I already filed, I said. You'll get served this week.
He didn't argue.
He just nodded slowly. As he walked away, I stopped him. Oh, and Joel.
He turned.
Tell your mother I claimed the full amount on my taxes. She better do the same. Would hate for the IRS to find out she paid someone under the table. He looked stunned. Then he left. 2 months later, the divorce was finalized. I got spousal support for a full year and kept the car. Ruth never spoke to me again, not directly anyway. But I heard through a mutual friend that she tried to host a fundraiser that got canceled last minute when someone anonymously forwarded a tip to the organizers about her employment dispute.
Petty?
Maybe. But you know what? I gave up my time, my job, my sleep, and my heart to take care of a man who let me be torn apart by his mother. They treated me like I was disposable. So I made sure they felt what that really means.
And I slept just fine after that.